Isn't it nice when Konami addresses the complaints of a deck directly? For example, people were saying for years that marine sets would be good if only they could search their traps properly. And lo and behold, what are we getting in the next legendary duelist set? A trap searcher. Similarly, ever since their release, people keep saying that Floowandereeze could be good if only they didn't lose to Ash Blossom or Infinite Impermanence. While I think that they deserve a bit more credit than that, the truth is that a well-timed hand trap can just stop them in their tracks, which is why people even started running stuff like Book of Moon to use on their own monsters. Look, we just really wanted the cute bird deck to work, okay? But now, with Battle of Chaos, we have not only one, but two cards that can solve the problems that Floowandereeze were having. These cards are Floowandereeze and the Advent of Adventure, and Simorgh Bird of Perfection. What's great is that, for both of these cards, not only do they answer Floowandereeze's hand trap problems, but they also add a bunch of other utility to the deck. It's this kind of versatility that makes you actually want to run a card, rather than just feeling like you kind of have to. Anyway, let's start with the actual Floowandereeze card. Advent of Adventure is a quick play spell with technically one effect, but it's an effect that you can resolve in a few different ways. As a cost, you need to banish a winged beast from your hand or field. This is why it being a quick effect is important, and also why it allows you to dodge Imperm or Effect Veiler. You see, you've just normal summoned the bird, and your opponent chains an Impermanence. You can then chain this in turn, meaning that their target is no longer on the field, so it will miss. You, however, still get to resolve your search, and then get another normal summon, so it's no real loss on your behalf. Also, since you banish it for cost, all Floowandereeze cards just add themselves back as soon as you summon another winged beast, so you'll be getting it back soon anyway. So despite the cost part being a pretty useful effect already, what's the intended payoff? Well, it lets you search in as a Floowandereeze monster, or their field spell. So since it can also send from the hand, you have two main use cases for this card. Either you already have Robina for full combo, or you start summoning this but then you need to dodge targeted negation while getting the field spell, or otherwise you started with a winged beast monster that wouldn't do full combo, and you can just banish it from your hand to search your Robina and get your play started. Either way, this card will put you in a pretty good position, and allows the deck to be way more consistent thanks to basically being 3 more Robinas or 3 more of the field spell for their search and extra normal summon. So that's all good, but Ash Blossom doesn't target, so you don't get to just dodge it by removing your monsters. So how do you deal with that? Or is the natural enemy of small birds still just giant foreheads? Well, this is where the new Simorgh monster comes into play. Simorgh Bird of Perfection has 3 effects. The first of which is just a continuous effect that makes it also a wind attribute when on the field. This does actually come up occasionally with some other cards I'll talk about soon, but it's not the main appeal. That would be its second effect. When you normal or special summon a winged beast monster, it triggers in the hand to normal summon itself, or I guess any other Simorgh monster you have in your hand. So why is this important? Well, besides being an extra material on the field for all your tribute summons, it's also a trigger effect that immediately goes on the chain after something like your Robina. Now, one of the most important aspects of playing Floowandereeze is chain blocking. Basically, for those that don't know, if you have a trigger effect that triggers off of something you've done, you get a chance to activate those before your opponent can start doing any quick effects available to them. Secondly, you need to remember that cards like Ash Blossom need to be the very next link in a chain to be able to negate an effect. So you need to activate Ash Blossom as a chain link 2 in order to negate Robina as a chain link 1, for example. So using that knowledge, you can see that, thanks to this new Simorgh, as soon as you start your combos with Robina or Eaglin, you can immediately make a Bird of Perfection activate as a chain link 2, stopping your opponent from being able to respond with an Ash Blossom. So being a material that chain blocks your starters is already pretty good. But like I said, it has 3 effects, and the third one is not only pretty cool, but also the main reason I'm calling this a Floowandereeze Simorgh deck, rather than just a Floowandereeze deck with a single Simorgh card. You see, when it's normal summoned, you can send a Simorgh monster to the graveyard to add a Simorgh spell or trap to your hand. Now, I feel like this is the best time to do a little branching path type thing. Since it can just send itself from the deck, all you really need to fit the Simorgh package into Floowandereeze is 3 of this card and then 1 of the field spell that I'm about to talk about. But instead of doing just that, I'm actually going to go quite a lot further to really explore what Simorgh has to offer to the deck. Since the version in this video has a higher power ceiling, but needs a lot more Simorgh cards to work, I'll also put a regular Floowandereeze deck using the new support on my Patreon, so you can find that there if you just want to stick to what's strictly necessary. But I like the idea of making this a full-on Simorgh Floowandereeze deck, and so in the deck profile section of this video, I'll show you what extra Simorgh cards we can run to make this deck potentially more powerful, and give your combos a few more options. So let's have a look at them, shall we? So here's the deck list. I'll be going over the Simorgh cards in extra detail, since chances are you haven't read them yet, and then at the end I'll also be providing budget alternatives, or just ways to customise this deck, so stick around for that. First off is 3 Bird of Perfection, for the reasons I said in the intro. But remember how it could search a Simorgh spell? Well, we have 2 options for that. The first and most obvious one is Elbows, their field spell. It basically does 2 things. If you have a level 5 or higher winged beast in your hand, it will let you tribute summon winged beast monsters for 1 less tribute for the entire rest of the turn. So basically, doing your regular Floowandereeze combo that ends with 2 small birds on the field, you'll then be able to tribute summon 2 high level birds, since they'll only need 1 tribute each. This also makes starting with something like a Visor or an End Pen in your hand less bad, since you can then use this effect at the start of the turn. The second effect is just an extra normal summon of a winged beast, as long as you already control a winged beast. I don't really need to explain why that would be a good thing in this deck, but this is the main time where Bird of Perfection becoming a wind on the field is relevant. Oh, and it also gives an extra 300 attack to your winged beast, so that's a fairly nice bonus. But what are you tribute summoning with this, since you already tribute an End Pen as part of your main combo? Well, that's where the second spell comes into play, which is Simorgh Onslaught. By discarding a winged beast, you get to add 2 Simorgh monsters with different attributes to each other, which are the next 2 cards. So if you use Bird of Perfection and you don't need the extra normal summon of the field spell, or you just already have it, you can instead search this card to then add Bird of Bringing and Simorgh of Darkness to your hand. Bird of Bringing is a fun summon off of End Pen, since it can then search the field spell anyway, but otherwise it's just fodder to send with Perfection's first effect. But then Simorgh of Darkness is an important search since it gives you a negate of a spell or a trap. Previously, unless you had something like an Apex Avian on the field already, your board was pretty weak to something like a Raigeki, which I'll remind you is now at 3, so it's not really a position you want to be in. With this, you can easily tribute an Eaglin or a Bird of Perfection, or even in the worst case scenario itself, to let you negate a spell your opponent will try to activate. Since this is all on top of the usual End Pen and set Dreaming Town, it makes your boards quite a lot stronger. Now the rest of the deck is a lot more self-explanatory if you've played this deck before. 3 Robina and Eaglin for your searchers, and then a token and a Stridge for your extenders, and finally End Pen is your boss monster. End Pen will be searching Dreaming Town pretty much every time, but when going second, searching Unexplored Winds can also be good for breaking boards, especially with the extra tribute summons you'll be doing with the Simorgh cards. Then, as extra search targets, we have the Barrier statue for Robina, and then Riser and Apex Avian for Eaglin. I know that Riser's expensive, so I'll give you some alternatives for that soon. Then, to round out your monsters, just run 3 Ash Blossoms. Now for your Floowandereeze spells, you'll want 3 of their new support, 3 of their field spell, and 1 Unexplored Winds. Combined with the Terraforming, it's basically like you have 7 copies of the field spell, which is good since it's so important. Then we run 3 Prosperity since it'll help you dig deeper for a Robina, or just something to protect it if you already have one. Finally, Called by the Grave is just a bit more protection for your combos. For your traps, all you need is a Dreaming Town to search with End Pen, and then 3 Impermanents to make going second less difficult. Your extra deck is honestly not very relevant, and is mostly here just to be banished by Pot of Prosperity. However, all of these cards can potentially do something if your opponent runs Dogmatica Maximus, so you might as well throw them in for the rare times that they'll help. So instead of dwelling on the extra deck, here's some options to change your deck up a bit. First up, for budget reasons, if you can't afford Prosperity, then Duality is fine. It only digs half as deep, but it's still a useful card. Then, if you can't afford Riser, Snowl is a fairly okay replacement and is pretty cheap. It also gives you a ton of extra normal summons, so it can help you go for game in turn 3. If you want more options for Simorgh Onslaught, Simorgh Lord of the Storm and Dark Simorgh are both pretty good options. The former can shuffle a card back into the deck, while the latter is a great option to have against back row decks, basically winning on the spot if they can't remove it. I'd pick up a copy of Dark Simorgh for your side deck anyway, in case you're up against Eldritch or something like that. Then, if you wanted to go even harder into Simorgh cards, running a third field spell and Bird of Bringing could work. Having the field spell is usually just fairly good, and then Bird of Bringing is a good summon after End Pen, so you'll be more likely to pull that off if you have these in your deck. You can also try Simorgh Repulsion, which is a way to return all back row to the hand, so again, potentially good against back row decks. Finally, Harpist is a fun option for a Robina search, since it's a bounce that you can easily summon either after End Pen when going second, or off of Robina search and then a normal summon from Mysterious Map. It's not the most powerful effect, but it can be a nice option for some disruption. You can also return it to the hand with Riser's effect, so you can potentially get the bounce off multiple times. And so that's the deck. Now let's look at some combos. So now I'll go over some test hands to show you how the Simorgh cards fit into the Floowandereeze deck. But first, if you've been enjoying the video so far, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, for this first hand I wanted to show you Bird of Perfection in action. Start with Map, banishing a Robina so that summoning Stritch can add it back to your hand. After that you can chain Bird of Perfection, who after normal summoning itself, sends a Bird of Bringing to search an Onslaught. Discard a Barrier statue to add both other Simorghs to your hand, and then start another summoning chain with a Robina. After searching and using End Pen, since you now have 4 monsters on the field, you can tribute summon again with End Pen's effect, ending with 2 high level birds as well as a set Dreaming Town to give Simorgh of Darkness a tribute target besides itself. In this second hand, I want to show you what you can do with Elbows if you start with a high level winged beast in your hand. Start by searching it with Terraforming, and then reveal End Pen to use 1 less tribute for all of your winged beasts. You can then start your usual Robina combo, but since you have End Pen already, you can search Apex Avian instead. Now with End Pen's extra summon, since you only need 1 tribute, you can also tribute summon Apex Avian, and then end it with a set Dreaming Town. During your opponent's turn you can activate it, to either end with a 1300 attack barrier statue, or by summoning a Riser that you can also search thanks to Dreaming Town. This third hand shows some of Bird of Bringing's uses. We'll start by using Map to banish a Robina, and then adding it back to the hand with Tuckhand to continue your combo. After searching an End Pen and then tribute summoning it to search a Dreaming Town, you can then use its extra normal summon on Bird of Bringing, will get you a Simorgh Onslaught. Discard Stritch to use its effect, and since you haven't used your regular normal summon, you can just now tribute summon Simorgh of Darkness for an extra interruption. Once again, during your opponent's turn, you can basically choose what you want to do, between a barrier statue or getting an extra negate thanks to Apex Avian, but also as soon as your opponent normal summons, you can get an extra winged beast to tribute with Simorgh of Darkness, or just summon the barrier statue that you just searched. Now I'd like to show you how the field spells can actually both work on the same turn rather than getting in each other's way. Start with a Map, banishing Robina to get it back with Stritch, while using Bird of Perfection to send a Simorgh to search Elbows. Then you can activate Elbows, revealing End Pen to need less tributes for the rest of the turn, and then again to start a new summoning chain. Robina gets Eaglin, who gets End Pen, who gets Dreaming Town. This then lets you tribute summon a Simorgh of Darkness for 1 less tribute, meaning you can already have tribute fodder for its effect. You can then just replace Elbows with another Map to get the normal summon on your opponent's turn, and thanks to Dreaming Town, you can do another summoning chain to get Apex Avian on the field, while still leaving Eaglin to be the winged beast monster for Simorgh of Darkness's effect. Finally, in this last test hand, I want to show you how sometimes deliberately cutting off your normal summon combo short can actually be beneficial. Play your Elbows and then start with Robina to do your regular combo line, searching End Pen but then ending it after Stritch. That will let you pause to use elbows to reduce the cost of tributes, and then you can use its other effect to start normal summoning again, making an M-Pen and then a Simorgh of Darkness. Now you can further restrict your opponent's plays by using Dreaming Town as soon as possible, using Robina to search a barrier statue which will then have an extra 300 attack, making it slightly harder to beat over. So that's the deck. Will you be trying Simorgh cards in your Floowandereeze deck, or will you be sticking to the pure version? Tell me in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Special thanks to my tier 2 patrons, Jason Moa and Violet Rain. The link to that is in the description. Thanks for watching.